Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Welcome, everyone. It is, and I have to pick up my iPad right here. Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday, December the 16th, 2021. It is currently 5:07 p.m. Central Time. I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I'm sorry. That's one of those situations where, oh, wait, we're live on the air, and I was not ready. The intro was playing, and all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, that's the intro. I didn't even mean to hit the go live button. Something happened, and I'm like, we're live on the air. We're live on the air. Okay, wait, where's my iPad? Wait, where's my notebook? Wait, where is everything? Wait, what is going on? What is going on? Wait, we're ready. You're live. You've got to talk. You've got to talk. So welcome, everyone. It is Thursday, December the 16th, 2021. It is currently 5:08 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the empty sanctuary right here in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, it really has turned into, it really wasn't my initial goal. I had other things that I wanted to do today, other things that I wanted to talk about. But then I realized, if we're going to talk about the past year and talk about the new year, I could wait, almost to the very end of 2021. But at that point, it really just seems like a waste of time to talk about it, because before you know it, it's 2022 and you're already in the new year. And then next thing you know, you're already a month in, 2 months in. And so you can't really benefit from it. I want to talk about the new year now, where we have time to really discuss it and to really maybe make changes or come up with plans and ideas. And I just want to give you kind of an idea of what's going on behind the scenes, what has happened. We're going to talk about a lot of things. In the last broadcast, we talked about your spiritual life in 2022. What's your plans and goals for 2022 spiritually, and gave you some thoughts and ideas. And this episode, we're going to talk about this very podcast, the Theology Central podcast, going into 2022. What did we do in 2021? What will we be doing in 2022? Where did we fail? Where did we succeed? What could we do better? What would you like? What would you prefer in 2022? And that motorcycle, I thought, just almost hit our church building. I don't know what's going on outside. Well, one of the things we need to do is have a big sign outside this church saying, we're live broadcasting. We're in the middle of nowhere, but even though we're in the middle of nowhere, crazy things happen around this building. Maybe because we are in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, that motorcycle, I don't know what they were doing. I thought they were literally about to come through the front door of the church. Okay, so, but I don't think they wrecked. I think everything is okay. So one thing we're going to do in 2022 is try to eliminate distractions. No, that's just a part of life. All right. But we're really going to just talk about this. And of course, if you're listening live, you can put forth your ideas and your perspective right now, but hopefully you'll find this to be beneficial. All right. So 2022, the Theology Central podcast. Before we talk about 2022, let's talk about 2021. All right. We've had a pretty awesome year. I think now I haven't went to all of the different sites where we get statistics about our podcast. It takes a long time to try to gather everything, but I can honestly say easily that 2021, and I think I can, and I don't think there's even any debate here. I don't think it's even close. I think 2021 was the most successful year ever for the Theology Central podcast. I think we had more listeners, more downloads, more streams. We definitely had more emails, more participation, more people contacting us than ever before. I think I can honestly say that we have far surpassed everything else that we have done, which is a good thing. We have also far surpassed people giving and helping support the Theology Central podcast with their financial gifts. We really, really appreciate that. But I like the participation, the emails. We've had a lot of success in 2021, and I am very, very grateful for that. It's always weird doing a podcast again, and I always emphasize that I'm coming to you from the middle of nowhere because to me it's really important to try to kind of give you the mindset here. We're a little church in the middle of nowhere, So we could just adopt a very small church mindset and just, well, we'll just do what we can. But I've always no, as long as I've got technology, we're not going to just do what we can. We're going to do everything that we can. And we're going to try to benefit and minister to people, to well beyond who walks through this door or who possibly drives up to the parking lot of this church. I've always tried to have that mindset for the better or for the worse, the good that's come from it, the bad that's come from it. I've always tried to do that. And I'm just grateful that we have had at least some level of success. Have we had, I could argue that we need to have more success, but I think what's important is for benefiting people. And I think we've done a pretty decent job this year. I think some of the big successes in 2021 really have been, and I didn't go back and look at the dates for everything, so some of these may actually go back to 2020, but two of them I can really look to 2021 and say this was a big year for both. We've had more success on YouTube in 2021 than we've ever had. More subscribers, more people commenting, and more people listening to the podcast via YouTube. I never thought that YouTube would even be remotely successful. We're an audio podcast, so why even put it on YouTube? But the podcast hosting site, Spreaker, was like, hey, we're going to put your podcast on YouTube. Okay. And I'm like, all right, fine. Let's see how this works. Now, they had put it there before 2021, but 2021 seemed to be the year where people started discovering us on YouTube. Again, YouTube is all about algorithms. So the only way to really be successful is you got to get more and more people, listening to your content on YouTube. The more they listen and the more those numbers go up, then the more the algorithms pick it up, and then the greater chance people will discover you. Now, we've had more people listen and more people engaging us on YouTube than ever before, but we still have a large number of people who click play, see that it's not video, and immediately stop and go away. So that's frustrating. But I definitely don't have the ability, the money, the time to try to turn this into a video podcast. I don't have any desire to do that in any way, shape, or form. It's not my thing. There you have to be worried about so many lighting and camera angles, and it's just no. I have no desire to go into, and then it really becomes about. And I hate to say this, in some ways it becomes about you because people see you. I know they hear my voice, but nobody really knows who I am. So I don't want it to become about me. I've been there where I made it about me, and that was too detrimental. And I don't want to do that. So we're never going to go there. But I'm just glad that YouTube has been at least more successful than I could have imagined. Still, we're not. Let's make it very clear. Okay. Let's make sure I don't mislead you. YouTube is the smallest area of anything we do. YouTube is so small on the scale, it really doesn't even register. But I'm saying compared to our previous performance on YouTube, it's been relatively good. And I could pull up the numbers. It's in the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who've engaged our content on YouTube, but it's still very small compared to everything else. All right. And it's very small compared to most YouTube channels. So, but still I think we average over 1,000. Is it every 48 hours? Maybe every 48 hours or every 72 hours. I would have to look. It's over 1,000 every short period of time. And so we're grateful for that. Now, remember, some of that is just people clicking play and then immediately stopping. So then you have to kind of measure that into it. But the point is people are finding us. That's good. They're discovering us. And then some people are subscribing. And hopefully for the subscribers on YouTube, thank you very much. Your comments, anything you can do. I don't know. Is there a thumbs up? I think there's a thumbs up. Whatever you can do, we appreciate it. And if you have the YouTube app on your mobile device that you watch other YouTube videos, at least subscribe to us, right? At least hit the subscribe number. And sometimes when you're on YouTube, if you haven't listened to the latest Theology Central podcast, just listen to it on YouTube. If you just happen to have it open. So if you want to find us there, that would be great. We do appreciate it. And that's awesome. The next area where we had some very I mean, I'm still absolutely blown away by it, is Pandora. Pandora, the music streaming service. Yes, I can't even explain to you the crazy numbers we're seeing on Pandora. It is really bizarre to me. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. In fact, I'm just going to pull up Spreaker right now. I'm just going to, and that's just to give you some idea of what's going on, what's happening behind the scenes. Some of you may care, some of you may not, but these are things I've wanted to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it. Let's see here. All right, we're doing pretty good today on numbers. Let's go here to sources. Yes. Yeah, the number, look, this is crazy. For the last 7 days, this is absolutely insane. For the last 7 days, the number one source, the number one place people are listening to us from, Pandora. Pandora has now surpassed Apple Podcast, which I didn't think anyone would ever come close to touching, because Apple Podcast almost always number one. Even our own hosting site, Spreaker, more people listen to us on Pandora than the very site that hosts us. That's crazy. Amazon Music has now jumped to number 4, and Spotify has jumped to number 5, Overcast number 6, Pocket Cast number 7, Castbox number 8, Alexa Media Player, iHeartRadio, and then I think Podbean. Those are the numbers. So Pandora's number 1, Apple Podcast number 2, Spreaker number 3, Amazon Music number 4, Spotify number 5, Overcast number 6, Pocket Cast number 7, Castbox number 8, Alexa Media Player number 9, iHeartRadio number 10, and Podbean number 11. Hopefully I got those. I didn't miscount there. Those are. I mean, that's just crazy. Why Pandora? I think we got an email asking us if we wanted to be on Pandora from Pandora. And this was the same time we were trying to get on the Edify Christian podcast app. And Pandora was super professional and cool, and they worked with us and they gave us updates. And next thing you know, okay, you're live on Pandora. And I'm like, okay, I mean, thank you. We want our content everywhere. And next thing, the numbers just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And I'm like, why Pandora? It's just weird. I did so much to try to get people to listen to us on Spotify, because I wanted us to get on the Spotify podcasting charts, right? I wanted to get on the Spotify charts because that's how people discover you. But it was none of my campaigns to get everyone to go download Spotify and listen to us were very successful. They barely moved anything. It was like, okay, yeah, well, we can talk about those failures in a minute, but I need to put that in the failure campaign, but on the failure side of things. But those were some major successes. YouTube and Pandora have been massive successes. SoundCloud still is just some weird anomaly that I don't even know where to classify SoundCloud. Put it this way, the numbers for SoundCloud are even better than the numbers for Pandora. And Pandora is the number one place, according to, the one place I get my statistics. Those statistics don't even count SoundCloud. I have no idea why we're successful on SoundCloud. I have zero. It makes no sense. SoundCloud, a successful platform for theology podcast. Who would have ever said those words? I don't even understand. I don't even count SoundCloud. Because I don't understand it. I don't even know why it's there. I don't know, but we're grateful for it. So we've had some, I haven't even talked about failure. So I think everything I've talked about has been successes so far. We've talked about, more people have contacted us, more emails, more downloads. We've had the clear success from YouTube, clear success from Pandora. We can put SoundCloud there as just some weird, I don't even know what that is, anomaly. It's been a very good year in so many things, more giving, more everything. And I am very grateful for all of that. I'm so grateful. And I guess I'm most grateful that we've had success doing it my way. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that in a spiritually arrogant way. I mean that I did not follow all of the directions that you're given. Like, you have to do your podcast this way. You need to edit. Don't do too many episodes. I don't care how many times I've been told don't do too many episodes. You need to do fewer episodes. I'm going to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. That's when it comes to podcasting. I don't mean that as a spiritual attitude to have. I'm going to do whatever I want to when I want to do it. I'm saying when it comes to podcasting, that I want this to be again, the goal has been to be very real, very organic, do as many episodes as I want to do when I want to do them. And hopefully there'll be an audience for this approach. Doing them live, not pre-recorded, not editing anything. What happens live is what you get. And we don't do, most podcasts have 2 or 3 people, right? We don't have a co-host. We don't interview people. It's just me with a microphone for hours on end. Everything says it shouldn't be successful. Everything says it should be a failure. Everything says it should be a failure. I don't know why it has any success, because most people don't want to. They want shorter podcasts. You're supposed to go shorter, not longer. We never do that. You're almost always supposed to have someone with you, because no one wants to just listen to one person talk. You need edits, and you need, and I don't do any of those things. So it's weird that it works, but I'm glad that I haven't tried. I have to follow some template, because if I have to follow some template, this is what it turns into. Hours and hours and hours of producing, of editing, of creating kind of that public persona for the podcast, and not those hours spent into actually talking about important theological issues. I would rather spend the time talking about theological issues than spending time trying to polish up the podcast so it, quote unquote, meets some unspoken standard that why? Like, I would rather use the time to talk about important issues. And so that's what I've decided to do. I have friends who do YouTube videos and have YouTube channels, and I've heard them talk about, how many hours of recording versus how many hours of editing. And I'm like, no way. No way. Am I spending 10, 12 hours editing something? Forget that. What's the point? I want to talk. I want to try to minister. I don't want to spend hours sitting here in this empty building going, okay, edit that, cut that. Let's do, okay, all right, let's put this together. Okay, no. Turn on the microphone, be real. Let's talk. Let's talk theology. Let's talk current events. Let's do Bible studies. Let's go. And so I'm grateful that I've been able to have any level of success doing it that way. So we've had some pretty good success this year. All right. So let me go back. I wrote some of these things down in a notebook. I haven't even looked at it until right now, because then I realized, wait a minute, I don't even know if I'm going in order. So we've had more listeners, more participation, more emails, more giving. We've had massive success on YouTube, massive success on Pandora. And when I say massive success on YouTube, massive compared to what I ever thought it would be. And Pandora is just absolutely insane right now. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, Pandora? Like, it's just, who knew Pandora was going to become such a big podcasting platform? I never would have known that. And so there's a lot more I could say. The most important, though, success in 2021 are emails where people emailed me and said, thank you. You really helped me here. You encouraged me here. You helped me understand this. Thank you so very much. You've helped me get back into studying the Bible. Or thank you so much for helping me get out of conspiratorial thinking. Or thank you so very much for this. Or my church is just a mess right now and I don't have anywhere else to turn. Thank you. Those are the real successes. Those are the real successes. And again, it's great that I'm helping people without turning it into an over-polished production. It's just a sinner sitting in front of a microphone talking, a sinner talking to other sinners about the spiritual life and trying to figure things out, right? So that is some of our successes. But we've had some serious failures in 2021, and I hate to report these, but we've had. Here are some of our failures, okay? One of the failures, and I briefly mentioned it, is yes, I did try at different times to try to get us on some of the podcasting charts. The problem with podcasting charts is you have to have everyone listening stop the way they're listening, and then everyone go to that specific platform and all listen and download like crazy for pretty much 30 days, not using anything else. Now, people will go there maybe for 24 hours or 48 hours to try to help you out, but it really takes 30 days of just listen, download, and then boom, we show up on the charts. But those attempts, maybe you could say they were misguided. You could say that they were foolish to start off with, but I really wanted to. And the reason I did is when you look at some of those podcasting charts, say in the Christian category or the theology category, I mean, they're filled with absolute and total complete heresy and, to me, dangerous spiritual poison. So I wanted to get us on there to at least, when people are looking at those charts, they can say, oh, what's this? A theology podcast. Let me listen. They may immediately go, I hate it, but at least it puts it out there. So we didn't accomplish that. Now, we did make it onto the listener notes sites, which gives your global listening score. They pull it from all kinds of sources. We did make it to the top 10% of all podcasts globally, which is absolutely insane. They put us in the top 10% over, are you ready for this? Over 2 million other podcasts. That's insane. Now, I would like that score to go up, and I know how we could, once again, we can make that score go up. I could give you the website listener notes, go to find Theology Central, and then just listen, download on that site. That would immediately give us a boost, but I'm not going to even play that game. I'm just going to let them develop their score, and we'll just follow it, and that's just pretty amazing. We didn't even know that. The only reason I discovered that even existed, I asked to be a beta tester for what's called the Wisdom app, and I was talking, I think it was to someone in charge of the Wisdom app, or someone, I can't remember who I was talking to, and they were and they were talking about, so are you a podcast? Everyone who was brought in to kind of test the Wisdom app were all podcasters. So whenever they would talk to someone, they would be like, so what's the name of your podcast? And I gave them the name, and they're like, oh, you're in the top 10%. I'm like, wait, what? I'm in the top 10% of what? So that's awesome. I guess I could have put that as one of our successes, but at the same time, it reminded me that there's so many different podcasting charts. There's the Apple podcasting charts. There's the Spotify podcasting charts. And when you put your content everywhere, it's so spread everywhere that it's hard to get a good reflection of what you're doing. If it was only in one place, well, then one, a lot of people would never have found you. But two, if you could get that big audience, in many cases, then it would be on that chart because that's where everyone is listening to you from. So maybe I put too much emphasis on the charts. Maybe that was the failure. Instead of worrying about the number placement on the charts, it's worrying about the number of people that are hopefully being encouraged, helped, and growing in their understanding via the podcast. But at the same time, if you're doing this, you still want people to discover you. So that was kind of a failure. Another big failure this year was, I hate to say it, was the VBC Bible Institute. That podcast, and a theme is getting ready to emerge here. The VBC Bible Institute podcast turned out to be a failure because, once again, I have this tendency to try too many things. Look, I'm only one person with 24 hours in a day. And it is sometimes impossible to do I have more ideas than I have time. I have more things I would like to accomplish than I have the ability to do so. To do the Bible Institute podcast, I really needed more of a team of people to try to pull it off. So we made it pretty far, and then we kind of stopped. There's a part of me that wants to go back and delete everything and start again. The only problem is the Theology Central podcast was growing and growing and doing better and better. So if I'm over there working on the VBC Bible Institute podcast, that's taking away from the Theology Central podcast. So I got to pick or choose, right? Like, wait, Theology Central, it's growing. All right, so do I want to just say, okay, guys, I'm not going to be doing any content today, or I'm going to take away an hour of content for this to go work on the Bible Institute podcast? It just became too much. So that was a failure. The only good thing that really kind of arose from the Bible Institute podcast was this. It really kind of formulated in my mind, it really kind of brought to light what the Bible study exercises have become. The Bible Institute really gave rise to the Bible study exercises. It really kind of really brought, okay, this is, I can take the Bible Institute idea and then I can move it towards a Bible study exercise and still kind of accomplish a little bit of what I was going to accomplish there, but in a different way to a broader audience. So, so it was a failure. I hate that I failed, but it's just, how many different podcasts can you do? And a lot of people probably, why did you have so many different podcasts? Let me just remind you a little bit how this all occurred, just briefly. When we had our standalone app, talk about another failure. That was 2020. That wasn't 2021 or 2019. Whenever the VBC Bible, the VBC app went away, that's so disappointing. It really is. Oh, it really is. We had a nice standalone app for the church. Now, of course, once again, I'm like, oh, wait, we have an app for the church. Most churches would just have an app where, okay, you can listen to their sermons and you can look up their location and you can give some money. And, just the app is very, very, very basic. Here, you can listen to our sermons. Here's where you find out about our ministries. There you go. I mean, they don't do much with it. I wanted, no. If we're going to have a church app, we're going all in. I want all of these different sections. Here's a section dedicated to hermeneutics. Here's a section dedicated to this. Here's a section dedicated to that. And then I want to bring content wherever I can get the content. And I wanted it to be something like that no church app had ever tried to even accomplish. And so that's why I created these different podcasts, because to have the different sections, I had to pull from different RSS feeds. So if I have this podcast and this podcast, that creates two different sections on the church app, pulling from different RSS feeds. So it was a brilliant idea, at least in part, in theory. And I was really happy with the app. And then, of course, the company went away. Then we were going to have to work with this other company, and then that fell completely apart. And then we found out about a year later that company that we never even got an app from was charging us hundreds of dollars a month. It was insane. And then finally I contacted them. They wouldn't respond. And so then I contacted them to sign up for it. Like, we're interested in getting an app. They contacted me within 30 minutes. And then when they contacted me, I was like, I don't need an app. What I need you to do is stop charging me for an app that I don't have, or I'm going to have to call the Better Business Bureau because you're ripping us off. And then they were all apologetic, and then finally refunded all of our money. It was a mess. That was a disaster. So that's why we ended up with so many different podcasts, was to try to bring content to the app. But once again, what was I thinking? Like, how much content can one person create? Like, what in the world? Okay, I'm going to do a hermeneutics podcast. I'm going to do a podcast dedicated to studying Catholicism. And I'm going to have a podcast for our sermons. And then I'm going to have the Theology Central podcast. And then I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't even know. Sometimes I lose my absolute mind. I don't know what goes on. I always feel like, I can do it. I can do it. I'll just never sleep. I'll never eat. I'll just hook up an IV and just stay at the church 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's all I will do. I will never leave that seat. I will die behind. And it's like, what was I don't know. I just sometimes I don't know what. I don't know why I can't perceive the reality of the situation. So that So the VBC Bible Institute, what we have done is still there. I wish I would have done better, but it kind of fell apart. So that was a failure there. All right. Now, so there's some of our victories. There's some of our failures. And there's a number of other failures there. I can throw another one in there. The Christian in Complete Armor. That's a very famous Puritan book. This is my second attempt to work on the book and my second failure in trying to do so. I started thinking about it late the other night. We may try in 2022 I'm going to do a different approach, I think, to it. Instead of just trying to go through it like I'm doing with the Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading the book again in my own personal devotional time, and I'm just going to take concepts from it and not just read through the book, and just take those concepts and do podcast concepts that come from the Christian in Complete Armor, because it's so wordy and it's so at times convoluted. Some of the Puritan writing, sometimes you're just like, wait, what in the world are you talking about? It's so just convoluted. So I think I may try to do something like that because I feel like a complete failure that I'm yet to be able to pull something off. And I'm not putting the Christian in Complete or the Imitation of Christ in the failure list because even though we're going slow, I'm not giving up and we will finish this book. I don't care what I have to do. We will finish the book. So I guess the Christian in Complete Armor is another failure. And again, you can just look at all the failures of every week of podcasting. Some of my programs are good. Some of them are not so good. Sometimes I'm very successful in communicating ideas. Sometimes I fall very short in communicating those ideas. So it's always a mixed bag, but it's always real. It's not edited and overproduced. It's very real. It's very organic. And hopefully that makes it somewhat interesting to listen to. All right. Now, we have some areas where we're not sure on. All right. I'm going to go through these quickly. Another thing I wanted to try to do was to use Podbean for some of our live broadcasting. And the reason why is if you go to the live section of the Podbean podcasting app right now, just if you open up the Podbean podcasting app and go to the live section, and there's a lot of different categories, and one of them is religious. And if you just look at what's going on in the religion tab of Podbean right now, there's who knows how many live broadcasts are going on. It is crazy. It is so bad. It is a theological dumpster fire. It is a theological train wreck. It is sad. It is crazy. It is insane. And so I want to get our content there. But again, here becomes the problem. If I'm doing all of my live broadcasting over, I think, and I've been watching it, some of those broadcasters, those religious broadcasters on Podbean, it seems like they're on the air almost like 24 hours a day. They're just on there. I don't even know what they're doing, giving words of knowledge, it's weird. I don't even know what it is. So I want to compete in that free market of ideas and try to get our content there. But I would have to then move basically all of our live broadcasts to Podbean to really build an audience. I'd have to be there hour after hour after hour after hour after hour, I really think, to do something. So, and I haven't yet felt comfortable doing the live broadcasting there. So, man, if your church does live streaming and they don't really have any focus on where they do it, or they don't care, they haven't really built an audience, at least consider getting them to start live streaming on Podbean so that we can get some decent churches on Podbean. Please. That place is a mess. That's a place of absolute, it's like spiritual malpractice is going on there. And who knows how many people are looking for spiritual things on the Podbean app. That's what they're finding. So I feel a responsibility to be there, but what do? I don't want to, Spreaker is our home. We've got too much invested. We can't go away from Spreaker. All of our podcast feeds, everything. Right now to move it would be a disaster. So yes, Spreaker is expensive, crazy expensive for how much we're paying, but it does everything perfectly. All right. Their live setup is far better than Podbean's. I can't even use Podbean like when we're like, I can't play my intro. I can't play any audio. I can't do anything. So I don't want to call it a failure yet. I just don't know. I've got to figure out what to do. And it may turn out to be a failure, and I may just have to give up on it and just say, you know what? I can't make it work and yet maintain everything we're doing here on Spreaker. I can't. I want to, but I can't. I just can't. And that's just the reality of it. And so I may have to cancel. It will save us a little bit of money because we're paying, $10 a month right now to be able to have the privilege of trying to live broadcast on Podbean. But there's so many things, because when you're looking at that world, you're like, well, who's going to come into that Podbean channel? You want to make sure that you're covering something that would be beneficial to them. You don't want to say, hey, we're gonna be talking Molinism today. Well, you don't want people who are been listening to that craziness on Podbean come into a live broadcast where you're talking about Molinism. They would be like, what in the world are you? They wouldn't even, most cases, not even have an idea that this is even a thing. They wouldn't even know. And then you've got to get into reprobation and election. And oh man, it would just be, I think it would do more damage than good. So you almost have to purposely figure out, what can I go talk about there that would be beneficial? And when I'm doing it there, then I'm not doing it on Spreaker. So you see, now I can ultimately bring those broadcasts over, but then that takes more effort and more time. So Podbean, I don't want to call it a failure. We'll call that as, right now, we don't know what to do. But if you are a good church, a good theology podcast, see what you can do on Podbean. Someone needs to be there, okay? I can only do so much. So the Podbean thing, we're just kind of up in the air about, all right? Swell. We created on the Swell app, a Theology Central group, and we did a little promotion of it, and a number of people joined. It was successful. It has its limitations, and here's the limitations. One, it's only on Swell, you record audio clips, and they can only be 5 minutes long. That was a good thing, because that couldn't turn into a full-blown podcast. So I could record a quick Swell asking a question, and then the people who are part of the group, they can respond, but they can only respond if they record audio. Well, it became obvious that not everyone felt comfortable doing that. So I think what we're going to do, we may put Swell in the failure category. I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to move everyone over to the Discord Theology Central group. We'll have a group on Discord where then I can just post anything. I ask a question, people can see it, people can respond, and I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to move everything to Discord because it's easy to use, and I can still accomplish what I wanted to accomplish there by just giving, again, people the ability to interact and talk about what we're discussing. So if you are not part of the Discord group, download the Discord app, email me, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. I will get a link. I'll try to create a Theology Central blog post where people can join the group that way. So I'll have to work on that sooner or later. So I think the Swell, I think we're going to have to it's a cool idea, and thank you for those who participated in the discussions, but now we can just have faster, easier discussions on Discord. It just makes it simple. And no one has to worry about, oh, wait, I gotta try to record this audio. I don't have to worry about that. So Podbean, we're not sure. Swell, I think we're just going to put that in the failure category. And then we were trying, oh man, this is so frustrating. We were trying to work with sermon.net to get all of our content on sermon.net. We've worked with them before, but the sermon.net app right now is in total disarray. They said they were going to get it fixed in a week. They didn't. They said they were going to get it fixed the next week. They didn't. They said they were going to get it fixed the next week. I think it's been like 2 months. It's still not what we needed to do. We wanted to get our content on there, and that if people using the sermon.net app could find us. You can also do live broadcasting on sermon.net. And we were going to try to do a little live broadcasting there and see what we could succeed. But I think that's just it's not going to happen. I think at this point, again, and you're right back to another situation where, again, how much effort because for every podcast I do, I have to manually upload it to sermon.net, which then takes extra time. So I think we're going to scratch sermon.net. If something dramatically changes in 2022 and they update their app and it's an amazing app and they start building a big community, then we're obviously going to get our content there. And I'll give you updates on that. Right now, don't worry about sermon.net, but we're going to try to get there. Okay, so those are some of our failures, and some of our not so sures about. And so some of our victories. That's all 2021. Now, what are we going to do in 2022? Are you ready? Here we go. I'm going to go quickly. All right. This was only supposed to be about 30 minutes, but again, I can't do that. Going into 2022, we're going to focus on a couple of things. Obviously, we're not going to stop the Bible study exercises. We are going to double down on the Bible study exercises. We're going to try to get more people to sign up for the curriculum. We're going to try to get more people discussing and participating, either emailing me or at least participating in the Discord discussions. I hope at least. I hope we can at least accomplish that. We are not going to back down on that. As far as anything else we're going to do, well, we're going to work on the Imitation of Christ. There are some other books I would like to work on. We will see. But here's really what I need you to do. I need you to tell me what you want, what you need, what would benefit you going into 2022 whenever you open up whatever podcasting app you're utilizing and you click and tap on Theology Central. What do you need to find? What will help you? What will be beneficial? So we're going to definitely do, I can guarantee we're going to continue to do the Bible study exercise. We're going to continue to work on the imitation of Christ. Those are definites. And I will continue to talk about current events, things going on in the church. I mean, at any topic that I can relate to theology, any news situation, I will definitely turn on the microphone and talk about that. So those are guarantees. Bible study exercises, talking about what's going on in the world, going on within the church, whatever I think is relevant. We're going to continue to do that. We will continue to work on the Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis. Those are guarantees. Those are guarantees. I will try to add in. Now, at this point, I got a little gun shy when everything went down with the craziness. Was it called, what was that? I can't remember the name of the podcast. And I said, I promised I would never say their name again. We were trying to promote a new Christian podcast by reviewing their first episode. And we reviewed it, and it turned into, we ended up reviewing all of it. And I think it was transformative enough to go that's their podcast, but we kept adding all kinds of other things to it. And our discussions, that's why it took 3, 4, 5 hours. I can't remember how long it took to work on it, but they found out that we were doing that. They lost their minds on us, and they contacted our podcasting hosting site. They didn't even email me directly. They accused us of copyright infringement. And it turned into a big thing. All they had to do was email me, and I would have said, fine. I would have deleted the episodes. I wouldn't even have argued with them. I think I could have argued fair use, because fair use, I can use other people's content as long as it's transformative. It's used not to make a profit, and it's used, in other words, I'm not selling. People are having to pay to get that episode. So we don't charge people. So it's nonprofit. It's transformative. In other words, I'm not just playing their content, but I'm using their content to transform into something different and unique from the original. And then I'm also using it for critique and review. Well, it met all of those criteria. You could have argued I used too much of their content, but the point was to try to get people to actually go subscribe to their podcast. It turned into a horrible thing. So after that happened, I've now been a little so what can I do here? So I try to be a little bit more careful now. But one of the things I still love to do is the sermon reviews. I love doing the sermon reviews. Now, Chris Rosebrough he built his podcast on doing sermon reviews. And I guess he found himself into a little bit of trouble, and some people accused him of copyright infringement on sermons. I mean, it's just, okay, whatever. And so now what he does is he speeds them up. Now, I don't have the ability on my software to speed up. In other words, if I bring in the audio, I have no ability. And why would I want to do that? We're gonna review a sermon, and it makes it sound like, the people are chipmunks. I have no desire for that. But see, what if you modify it in any way by slowing it down or speeding it up, then you can't get accused of copyright infringement. It's utterly ridiculous how that works. I've never had anyone get mad when I review a sermon, because I think I'm always more than fair. I don't listen to the sermons beforehand so that I can rehearse my responses. But I think we're gonna do maybe some more sermon reviews. I don't think it will ever be a problem. I don't think many of the church websites you go, there's nothing even there about it being copyrighted or anything that they've got a copyright. Some copyright claim. Now, if you go to John MacArthur and you're going to download one of his sermons, they're copyrighted. So there you go. I would never copyright one of my sermons. I do understand, though, if you have it copyrighted, then you do protect yourself from someone taking something you said and ripping it out of context, because they're taking copyrighted material and they need your permission in which to use it. I understand that there are protection reasons of doing it, but man, it just seems crazy placing a copyright on a sermon. I'm preaching God's word and I want a copyright on it, okay? Because I own it. It's the preaching of God's word. I mean, but I think we can, I would like to do a little bit more of that as well. And then I will at least let you know, we're going to continue to look for every platform in the world that we can try to be successful on. If you want, you can go to the App Store of choice. You can type in Church One. In fact, I'm going to go to the App Store here and see if this works. All right, let me download this. I'm not going to download it. I'm just going to look for it. Church One, all run together. Church One. That's church, then O-N-E. Church One. It will immediately show up in your app store. I'm looking at the Apple App Store. Church One. If you download that app, you'll download the app, and then you'll have to type in Theology Central. All right, so it's Church One. You download the app, you type in Theology Central, and it will load our content. You select us as your broadcaster of choice, and all of our content will be right there. We can send you push notifications. It almost serves as a standalone app that we don't even have to pay for, right? It's just bringing in all of our content, and it's right there. It's yours to use. If you would like to download it, I don't know if we'll do more using of that, but it's just an easy way to get our content. Now, for that content to show up there, I do have to upload it. I do have to upload it manually, so sometimes there's a delay, but it's there. It's there. So definitely consider looking at it. And if you don't like it, let me know. If you're like, wow, this app is garbage, I'm just going to use my podcasting app. That's okay. I like knowing obviously everyone listens to us on Pandora. Okay. So they probably don't want another app. I mean, the point that I think that's one of the good things and bad things. The good thing is you can use any app you want. The bad thing is that divides all of our listeners into a million different platforms. So it's very hard sometimes to know, well, I wonder what we're doing here. So, but Church One, it is available and you can look at it and see what you think. All right. I think it could be, maybe it's something we could build on. I don't know, but we will definitely look into that. All right. Now, another thing I'll just mention is the Edify Christian podcasting app. They continue to do updates on it. We haven't made any massive inroads on that app. I think most of our listeners don't use the Christian Edify podcasting app. But if I would recommend you having the Edify Christian podcast app. I would, just because there's so much content on there. And whenever you're looking for something spiritual, it may be beneficial. All right. That's the Edify Christian podcast app. And I would recommend, now this has nothing to do with us, but the Edify, these two things I'm just recommending for your own spiritual benefit, the Edify Christian podcast app. And I don't know when, but supposedly any day now, Sermon Audio is going to finally release an app that basically brings Sermon Audio into 2021. Because right now, if you go to Sermon Audio and you use their app, it's crazy. You can't even I think you have to pay money because you can't follow their, like on a podcast, you can subscribe to on a podcast app, you can subscribe to your favorite podcast or follow it or subscribe to it. And then you get notifications every time they add new content. Sermon Audio, it doesn't even work that way. You can't. Now, if you pay money, I think you can use the app that way. Their app is so antiquated, and I don't even know what in the world they're going on. I don't even know what in the world. It's just weird. Maybe at the time it was probably cutting edge, but it seems so outdated now. It's like, no, you should be able to no, here's my favorite broadcaster. And it should send you notifications when they add new content, right? And that's how it should work. So, but Sermon Audio obviously is a great place to find spiritual food and nourishment. So, I don't know when the update's coming. It's supposed to be any day now. When it does, I'm going to give you a full review of it because I can't wait to see if it they're acting like it's going to be a big update, and if it's going to big, basically it's going to rewrite the whole app. I can't wait to see it because. Well, there's a lot of things I would subscribe to on Sermon Audio. What I do now is on all my other podcasting apps, I just type in Sermon Audio and it brings in Sermon Audio latest MP3. And then I just get notifications every time new content's added to Sermon Audio, but not on Sermon Audio, on other podcasting apps. Really, Sermon Audio is not even anything what it used to be. Sermon Audio has now basically become a podcast hosting site. And so you put your content on Sermon Audio so that it will show up on Pandora, Podcast, Amazon Music. So just like we do on Spreaker, it shows up on all of those other apps. Sermon Audio is nothing like it used to be. It's a podcast hosting site. Well, the only problem is their app is garbage compared to, I'll just subscribe to, I can subscribe to Sermon Audio on the Edify Christian podcast app. I can subscribe to Sermon Audio on Apple Podcasts. So I just subscribe to Sermon Audio that way. And I'll get a notification that new content has been added. In fact, I'll go to Pocket Cast right now. No, it's on my phone. Hang on. I'll go to the Edify Christian podcast app right now just to show you. I'll go to Edify. All right, I'm going to Edify. The Edify Christian podcast app, which, again, I think everybody should download and use. All right. I'm going to go to my subscriptions. I'm going to go load more. Okay, hang on. It's loading. All right, here we go. Yes. So from Sermon Audio, I have a sermon called 5 Things We Should Be Doing with God's Word. I have another one called 6 Strong Towers, another one called Armed and Standing in Christ, another one called Unity and Adversity, and another one called The Atonement. Those are all within the last 11 hours. Now, sometimes the Edify Christian Podcast app is very, very far behind. So I don't have Pocket Cast on here. I have Pocket Cast on my phone, and I don't know where my phone is. But you can subscribe to Sermon Audio that way, and then you can get their content. But hopefully they'll get their app updated any day now. You can go ahead and download the Sermon Audio app now, and you can just look around and see what you think about how it. I want you to do that. Download the Sermon Audio app today. Spend some time with it tonight. You can let me know, this is what I think is good about the app or bad about the app. And then when the update comes, you can say, whoa, this is so much better. because whenever I do a review, then you can help me. I can get your perspective on it. All right. So that's that. So those are a couple of things we're going to be doing in 2021. The Bible study exercise, the imitation of Christ. We're going to try to do more sermon reviews. And then I want you to tell me what you need, what would benefit you. And then we were on the Church One app, which basically will serve as the Theology Central app if you want to use it that way. Or you can type in other broadcasters and pull their content. But if you want to use us, Theology Central, that can literally be the Theology Central standalone app. And then if we get if you download the Church One app, let me know. Send me an email, take a screenshot. Let me know in the Discord channel. Take a screenshot and show everybody. And then maybe we can do some tests. I can send out some push notifications. You can let me know if you get them. Maybe we can try some different things and see what we can. Look, I'm open for ideas, but I have to do this. I have to try to make sure that I don't have too many ideas. I have just there's where you can try too many things and you're not successful. So I'm going to try to be more focused in 2022 so we can really, really, really focus in and try to accomplish more. Maybe we can make 2022 more successful than 2021. All right. And so I'll just end with this. The success of any podcast is really dependent upon the people who listen and use the podcast. Your help in listening, subscribing, writing reviews on Apple Podcasts, that's so big. Writing a review for Apple Podcasts, giving us 5-star ratings, leaving a review and a rating on theologycentral.net. You can leave a review there and 5-star. Any of those things are so helpful. Sharing it with as many people as possible, that would be helpful. Facebook now has, I guess they have I don't know what it is. It's like a podcast platform now. I'm not on Facebook. I will never be on Facebook again. So they have some kind of platform there for podcasts. Those of you who use Facebook, if you could let me know, like, what is it? Is it like all kinds of podcasts? And then what I may need is someone who has a Facebook account. See if they would be willing to create a Theology Central podcast page, and then I can give you our RSS feed. And I think once the RSS feed is loaded, it just immediately brings all of our content there. And maybe we'll have to see. I'm not going to do that, but maybe I can have someone else who has an account do that for us. I don't know how successful that would be. I don't even know if it would be worthwhile, but I don't know. It's like all of a sudden I've seen articles that Facebook is trying to get into the podcast, business. What does it look like? I don't know. Like, I have no clue. So if you have any insight in that, you can email me at newsif@yahoo.com. The bottom line is we're always going to look for every platform we can be on. That is beneficial, not detrimental. And that's what we're going to try to do. All right. I know that was probably a waste of time. I know you probably was wanting me to do something else this afternoon. But these are just I'm just thinking about 2022. What does it mean? What's going on in your spiritual life? What do you need to do for 2022? And then what do I need to do better for this podcast? I truly want to end with this. You just let me know what you want for the podcast. What can I do for you? Now, obviously, everyone's going to have a different opinion. That's one thing I know. I'm going to get 50 emails with 50 different ideas. So I won't be able to accommodate everyone, but every idea will be read and every idea will be considered. And then I'll see what I can do to accommodate as many of those ideas as possible without, once again, probably creating too many things that I cannot keep up with. All right? So there you have it. Yes, there are other things we needed to get to today, but I felt like if I didn't cover these things, I was going to be doing a disservice. So there's a look back, a look forward. That's where we are. That's what we're going to be trying to do. And we'll be talking about many of these things before. If download the Church One app, let me know. I hear my phone. I don't know. My phone's giving me notifications, but I don't know where it is. Where is my phone? I don't know where it is. Okay. Here it is. It's underneath the Catholic Catechism. All right. Here we go. Now I can do this really quick now. Now I can go to Pocket Cast. All right. Let's see here. I can go to Pocket Cast. Where is sermon audio? Where are they? Man, I subscribe to so many podcasts. It's not even funny. Where is it? Sermon audio. Yeah. Here we go. I have Complete in Christ, Words of Grace, The Mighty Power of God, No Condemnation, Behold I Am, Evidences of Salvation, Grace and Peace, 10 Prophecies of the Messiah, Do We Know God, Psalm 16, Part 2, Love in Action, Trees of the Lord, From Death to Life. I mean, Jesus, just hundreds of sermons that have come in, and these are all come in within the last hour. So that's one of the reasons sermon audio, there's just so much content there. So you can do it that way, but download the Church One app and type in Theology Central and make us the chosen broadcaster. Tell me what you think. If you don't like it, let me know. Download the Sermon Audio app just so that you can see the big change that's supposed to happen soon. Let me know what you think. Download Discord and look for Theology Central and let me know what you think. All right. And then tell me, what do you want in a podcast going into 2022 to benefit you spiritually? And then, well, we'll go from there. There you have it. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a great night. Email me, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. I think I'm going to call it a night, and I'll be here tomorrow. Well, I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be here tomorrow. If not, it'll be Saturday, and then I'll try to make up for, I know what you're saying, Isaiah 9. I know we need to be in Isaiah 9, but there needed to be time to cover these things as well. So if we don't get to Isaiah 9, well, trust me, I think Sunday school VBC will be Isaiah 9. I can almost guarantee you that. All right. So we'll definitely make up for it. All right. So everyone have a great night. God bless.